everybody. It is great to be here today. I would love to start out by saying thank you to everybody who's tuned in for this first episode of Emily Talks Tech Jobs. And I am so excited to be here with a person who I've connected with this year and gotten to know and, had some really great chats with. And I'm really excited to present you guys with Pedro Zambrano today. So, his approach to tech recruiting blends precision, mission, and heart. Pedro is a senior technical recruiter, a military veteran, and a tech career coach who's helping transitioning service members navigate today's job market. He also hosts the Veteran Coffee Connection, where he brings veterans together around mindset, strategy, and support. So, Pedro, welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
It's awesome. It's good to be here with you, Emily. I appreciate it. It's like you said, we connected, throughout this past year, and I almost feel like I've known you for a long time. So it's great to be here, and it's exciting to be able to talk and walk through some items that folks need to hear and they deserve to learn. And so I'm just happy and humbled to be here with you to talk about a couple of things and see how we can help.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, that being said, is there anything I missed in the introduction? Could you introduce yourself to the listeners a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So I feel like you covered it all. Although, introduction wise, yes, right now I work as a senior technical recruiter for a agency that's located in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm actually in Rockwall, Texas. It's about 27 miles east of Dallas. Uh, did 23 years in the Marine Corps. Uh, Recruiting is not foreign, and talking with folks, and I used to call it winning the hearts and minds. Did it for a good amount of time in my career, especially at the end, as I was leading recruiting operations out in the state of Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
As far as what I do now, aside from that, like you mentioned, the Veterans Coffee Connection, that started from literally from a conversation with a Marine that I had never met, never served with, and he reached out to me, interestingly enough, through LinkedIn. And as a lot of us, we all can ask ourselves, and at times feel like it's weird to connect with folks digitally. But that one comment and that one message that led into that conversation is now birthed into a really a movement that is taking place right now where I connect with veterans all across the country. And we at first it started off as a mentorship to help them grasp transition. And I don't really like the word transition because it really feels more like a reconstruction. And so helping them maneuver through the reconstruction after, hanging up that jersey in the rafters of serving in the military, it was a lot of like individual mentorship that took place. And then right now what it's moved into is a gathering of veterans from every aspect at the beginning of transition to making the decision of wanting to, call it a different chapter for themselves and leave the service, to those who are already succeeding in life after the uniform. And so that platform is now an opportunity for them to all be in the same room, cross-pollinate with ideas and lessons learned, so that way the folks that are about to enter that next phase of life have real-time discussions with folks who have already lived it out and can give better guided knowledge and just mentorship to them as they maneuver through those pieces. And so it's just a great thing because leveraging social media for what it's used for to bring people together. So, passionate about it, but I've also loved that I've connected with folks like yourself and with others who are wanting to do the same thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's just amazing. So yeah, I'm excited, and I think 2025 has been a great year so far. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, it really shows in everything that you do, and I think that's kind of one of the reasons that I've wanted to stay in contact with you, is I see that you're really like moving and supporting people, and I love that you've really honed into that focus on supporting veterans. So that being said, a couple of questions around veterans and tech.
Sure.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, of course, you have that veteran background, and also now you are a tech recruiter. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that veterans face when they're transitioning into tech roles?
One of the immediate things that pops out is translating all of the tools and the products that were utilized when in uniform to an organization that has nothing to do with DoD. So the way it's presented on a resume as far as like how somebody, operated inside an IT department, right? Which in the military, they're not called IT departments or IT sections. They're
Mhm.
just different names and terminology for it.
Mhm.
It still has the same framework. So the immediate thing that pops out is the translation of all of that verbiage into corporate world talk, right? So
Mhm.
that's the first thing that a lot of veterans have lessons learned with is how to translate that appropriately. The second thing is the fact of specific leadership levels of tech inside the service. Some of those titles don't translate immediately to roles that are within the organization after military service, in the corporate world. And so
Mhm.
some companies don't recognize that value. And therefore, they're like, I know they've had a ton of leadership in the military and they've done all these things. However, those products and those tools are not like ServiceNow. They're not like, utilizing Microsoft 365 or using DevOps, like all these other big names that float around through tech. And
Yeah.
so some of that is almost putting up a wall that is kind of making it tough to get past. And so what I like to do with veterans is to be able to help them understand, like, listen, you have all of these things. It's fantastic. Let's work
Mhm.
on the translation piece because you have the value. And then let's start connecting also that value to other things that are going to be necessary in this next evolution, which are relationships. And let's work on
Mhm.
that piece to get it connected so that we can get you in the right room.
I find it interesting now that you mentioned relationships. Do you think that it's that veterans find it difficult to have those connections with like people from a different background, like in the tech space, for example?
Sometimes, yes, because, as a someone who's like dedicated towards their military service. It's a rarity at times when they're introduced to organizations that are not connected to the DoD. And so the
Mm-hmm.
relationships that may need to be built with somebody who's already in that organization, they're usually trying to make it all come together
Yeah.
months, less than a year before their time in uniform is complete. And then it's also dictated like where they're going to call home, where they're going to plant roots. And so it's like, okay, I'm in California, but I have a plan to move back to Florida. And so who do I know that's in an organization in Florida that I could probably get an interview with or a company I can try to apply for?
Right.
But all my time has been spent the past couple of years here in San Diego, right? So that's just as an example. So
Yeah.
that challenge of the relationship piece is if they know someone who's out there, a former colleague, a former service member, maybe they can have a relationship that's already built. If not, this is where the power of like LinkedIn that you and I both know about comes into play because they
Mm-hmm.
can develop those relationships prior to arrival. A lot of them, I mean, just so dedicated towards the mission and everything they do, the relationship piece is kind of like the last thing on their mind at that point.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, so it sounds like it's like a whole life reset. It's not just, most of the job seekers that I work with, they're transferring, maybe from one company to another company or one industry to another industry. But it sounds like, the veterans are, it's not only like a new work environment, but it's also a whole new location and a whole new language and a whole new environment. So it sounds like I never would have thought that there's so many like different challenges to overcome.
There's a good amount, and the, I will say that there's a large a, a large group of the population of veterans that they're doing it the right way.
Hmm.
It's just not big enough because you
Yeah.
have so many that leave the service every year. So it's for me, it's an area of opportunity that I see for improvement. And the
Hmm.
more the more I can share with anyone who will listen or connect with professionals and plant that seed and start that conversation, that's the thing that drives me.
Awesome. And then have you seen any of the veterans in your groups like achieve some amazing success or like really reach their goals?
Yes, so great example. I won't say her name. I don't want to. I don't. You'll
Yeah.
connect with her. I won't.
Okay.
I need to connect you with her. She's phenomenal. But
Okay.
so yes, so in the coffee conversations that I host, I have had veterans who come together. Some of them are not aligned with the role that they have gone into after leaving the military, and so they're still trying to figure it out, right? And I think everybody does that. We
Yeah.
go to apply to a job, get hired. It might have been the one we wanted. We may not have done the right amount of research to see if it's the one we needed. And so after arrival, it's like everything starts to come to reality.
Yeah.
So this happened with her. And it's not that she wasn't, I remember she was telling me it's not that she wasn't happy with the work. It's just, it wasn't exactly what she wanted anymore. She wanted more. And so she needed something else about it.
Yeah.
And what resulted from being on the conversations is that not only did we talk about the networking piece and did we walk through the relationships being needed, how to initiate those on LinkedIn, on the platform of how to, comment on somebody's posts, build
Mm-hmm.
rapport that
Cool.
way, send
Yeah.
an initial actual, a message when you send a request and it's something related to a post. They've seen your name a few times. And then at that point, you jump on a virtual coffee, have a
Right.
conversation. You're doing a little bit of your research, but you're also building relationships. And folks that have been inside that veteran coffee connection, they're from all walks. If they're
Yeah.
already out, some of them, if they're not in a management role, others are just they're happy with where they're starting out. But then we have a few folks that jump into it and they are already in C-suite positions in organizations, and so they're able to deliver the knowledge that someone would need as far as like here I am at this 10,000 foot view, this 30,000
Mm-hmm.
foot view. Let me give you some guidance on exactly what's taking place for you and then how you should approach it. So shifting all the tangible pieces now into the mindset. So what it all did for her is that it prepared her now for like, okay, let me build the right relationship. Let me get connected to the right folks. Let me
Mm-hmm.
not wait for trying to get to the old school handshake, kneecap to kneecap conversation. Let me use this platform for what it is. And through that, it generated into a hire. And she
Mm-hmm.
started actually a week ago.
Oh,
And this
wow.
is, yeah, this is not me saying it. Like she actually posted about it on LinkedIn, and she thanked us for being on that call and like what it had done. So it's a proof source that when I saw it, and others of us that are in the conversation,
Wow.
which we're having another one tomorrow, when she shared it, we were extremely excited for her. So it was a new
Yeah.
tribe that she found after leaving the service that could help support her and guide her exactly how she needed. So yeah, I've seen some success come out of it.
That's amazing. And I think that we've all seen statistics on, how difficult it is to transition out of the military back into civilian life. And I think, as Americans overall, like we really value, our military men and women. Yeah, that's amazing work. So congratulations. I can't wait to see where it goes. And I think you can make it big. I think that you could really blow this up, Pedro, if you haven't already.
Well, it's the great thing is this past week also I connected with a military spouse, and
Mm,
she said, hey, I want to connect. I got an idea about something. Sure. All right, cool. I'm not unreachable. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
yeah.
And so we
Yeah.
jumped on a virtual coffee, right? Like those
Hmm.
became my favorite things, right? All of
Right.
a sudden, my favorite thing to do. And so through that conversation, I know I didn't have all of the necessary answers because number one, I wasn't ever a military spouse, right? But I know that there's someone who's connected in the conversations that I host who is a former a Navy veteran who retired, and she's a military spouse at the same
Mm,
time right now. So it was like the connection to the conversation that was necessary for her and what they're doing. And
yeah.
her vision is to do the same thing for spouses, provide the same type of community because as they all get orders or they go to new duty stations and they spread across the United States and really the globe.
Yeah.
Technology is one way that they can remain connected, but also provide that direct mentorship to someone who's a new family coming into the service, someone who's been around for a minute, and those preparing to exit service. Like
Hmm.
we're doing a lot right now for the service members. She saw the opportunity now to take that same piece and do it now for spouses and families, and I thought it was
Wow.
phenomenal. So it was
Yeah.
great to have that conversation this week.
Oh, amazing. Well, congratulations on that. And yeah, like I said, I can't wait to see where it goes. I think big things are ahead. And that being said, so I know that you don't only support ex-military.
Hmm.
So, for example, you and I have connected and we have done some LinkedIn Live sessions with Kadisha.
Oh yeah.
And for for those listening who don't know Kadisha, so she is also ex-military, and she transitioned into data, and she has become a data mentor, and now she teaches people who want to break into data. So I think a lot of the topics that you talk about, maybe it's not one to one transferable with people who don't have a military background, but definitely you've brought a lot of value in on those conversations with the data the data crowd, and I think a lot of the tips that I hear you giving on these chats, I think they're generally applicable um, in the job seeker world, right?
But yeah, the when I retired from the Marine Corps, and it's funny because I was never the tech guy. Like my career was not a tech.
Hmm.
It was all about talking to people and recruiting. Uh, but the biggest blessing that came out of it is that leaving that and going into tech recruiting and staffing was the humility that needs to take place when you are transitioning your career. And a
Hmm.
lot of like the folks that I know that go through Kadisha's Academy and that are on the calls at times and witness our sessions,
Hmm.
they're career changers. And so I completely understand the career change piece,
Yeah.
military or not, and the
Mhm.
mindset and really the techniques that are utilized for it.
Yeah.
And something that was even sweeter about it with the data piece is I was always enamored with data analysts. I'm like, because I'm having to interview them, I'm like, I don't know what they do. But as the conversations would come out, I was like, oh, hold on. The process of being an analyst, the delivery and presentations and visualizations of information, the tools and the products that are utilized for gathering data, cleaning it, preparing it, ensuring that it's all accurate for dissemination for decision making. I was like, man, I've
Hmm.
been doing that my whole career. I
Hmm.
understand exactly what they do now, and
Yeah.
it's wonderful the tools and products that they use. So for me, it was just connecting where I had been and what I had seen, how it's applied, and then what they do and how it works in their world. And I was like, this
Mhm.
is a no-brainer, man.
Yeah.
If I can help them, because what I always saw, especially in the recruiting piece, is whether you're a data professional, if you're an IT professional, tier one help desk, frontline support, all the way up to some of the senior roles, you can have
Hmm.
the best experience, skills, products, education, and resume possible.
Hmm.
But what's going to get you out of the door in an offer with a handshake is the way you communicate and present yourself inside an interview. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know, you could be the poster board, but if when you open your mouth, you sound you sound completely off, and they're like, I don't understand how
Mhm.
that resume is that person,
Yeah.
or you don't look organized in the way you present your skills and how you talk about the processes of providing solutions. The best people still get turned away from job opportunities because
Mm.
you need to know how to communicate.
Yeah.
And that's tough for tech folks, because a lot of them, a good amount are they're introverts. They're like, I just want to do my job and people leave me alone.
Right.
It's
Right.
like that's true, yeah, but you can't be like that when you go into an interview, man. Like,
Yeah, for
so
sure.
that's that's how I grab all of that soft skill, people skill, but also techniques of communication and
Yeah.
presentation, and bring that into the data world or the IT world to help professionals win in those conversations because they deserve to get hired.
Yeah. Awesome. And so that being said, what type of roles do you typically hire for? Like, what is the most common role type?
Whew. Um,
Or is it just kind of everything? I know you work for an agency, so.
yeah, it's everything. I mean,
Hmm.
I have a range right now to where it's IT tier one help desk, service desk, and
Hmm.
then I've even done quite a few roles for reporting analyst, decision support. So a lot of like data
Yeah.
analyst, business analyst, data scientist, uh,
Hmm.
all the way to the other side of another place that most people wouldn't even think about, social media directors and social media strategists. So
Okay.
it's a huge range for tech
Yeah.
side. And then as far as the professional side, everything that is not dealing with tech, I also help out with those types of opportunities with clients and professionals as well.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so switching gears a little bit. One of
Hmm.
I think it was even in the first conversation we had, I asked you a little bit about your actual recruiting practice in your day to day, and we had an
Hmm.
interesting conversation about AI.
Oh yeah.
And that being said, if you're comfortable with sharing, I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about how you, and I mean, this is a really big topic that's out there, right? I mean, I get questions from
Hmm.
people all the time, is the AI rejecting me? Are the bots like, I don't know, what are they doing? So I'm interested in knowing, how you've been able to use AI in your recruiting practice.
So I remember starting with this company, and the first way that I utilized AI was having to help teach me about the role and the whatever career I'm helping a professional with, right, from a
Mhm.
client.
Yeah.
And so it was like I'm not a tech person. I didn't know anything a lot about it. I didn't understand all the terminology, but I got to like do a matrix dump of information in my brain on
Right.
how to articulate all the needs and the requirements of these positions and then really understand the tools and products that they do. And so I
Mhm.
found AI tools like ChatGPT and Copilot to be extremely effective because it could take all of the information that's on the internet and I could run immediately to a model that I could prompt in what I was wanting and it would deliver all of that necessary information. And I liked it because I was like, talk to me like I'm a fifth grader. Give it to me, I'm a novice. I have no idea because this client said that they want someone who can speak to people who have no clue about technology and then
Mhm.
professionals who have tons of experience with technology. And when you work a variety of roles, like, I mean, I just told you, director of social media,
Mhm.
brand content strategy, and you got tier
Yeah.
one help desk.
Mhm.
Unless you're sitting beside somebody who's ever done that before, like how well are you going to learn that, right? And then how much
Yeah.
time, the speed also is like how much time do I have to input to learning about that so that I can effectively ask questions about it, understand the process, the education, like everything, the whole story. The
Mhm.
speed that came with AI is what tremendously caught my attention, and then it made me a fan after that. So how I've used it, obviously with learning a role and breaking it down into a simple manner to where I can digest it. I've also utilized it for the questions, like this person is, XYZ.
Yeah.
What important questions would be necessary to help, peel back the layers on this professional to understand their skill set? Like
Hmm. Yeah.
what's the big picture for them?
Yeah.
Where would be the guidance for them to a direction that they would normally run their roadmap, right? In the military, we do a lot of like roadmap for promotions and careers.
Hmm.
I had to learn about the roadmap and progression for a professional in the IT world, depending upon what type of IT career they were holding. So, understanding all of that, it was just sponging up a lot of knowledge at a fast pace. And so I use it for that, for to help with some of the education. I'll still use the internet for it, but the AI is just it's more effective for me.
Yeah.
The way I've also seen my company use it and others, right? My agency is just one. Whether or not
Right.
everybody does this, hey, maybe they do it, maybe they don't. But when it comes to speed, and everybody's all about speed, to lay a resume inside an AI generated tool that
Hmm.
can search for key words that relate to a job description and do a comparison,
Yeah.
I'd be an idiot not to use it.
Awesome.
Especially
Okay.
especially when you get so many resumes to received for a job opportunity, right?
Mhm.
So that's a major way is comparison of resume to job description. Now, is it
Awesome.
always 100% accurate? No, no, nothing is ever 100% accurate, but it does provide a strong baseline of like what an initial assessment would be, and then after
Yeah.
that is the responsibility that I carry of combing through it appropriately and seeing how well it matches up, like the formatting and everything else.
Right.
Other thing is for the for requirements,
Hmm.
desires, expectations of
Yeah.
clients. When a
Yeah.
client is trying to give notes for a lot of the meetings about what they want and what they're searching for, no organization right now is perfect in providing a solid job description. They're not.
Right.
A good amount,
Okay.
they have job descriptions that they have either copy pasted from previous roles or
Mm-hmm.
it's from a role that was used, a couple of years back, and they're just like, this is the one we got. Let's immediately push this out. At least from the ones that I've seen, right? And so it's like, okay, if they're having a tough time doing it, this is why we have the meeting so we can gap other pieces. Now let's help formulate the exact needs and desires of what's going to make this person successful in this position. And so what I have done, and hey, no secrets here, right? I'm an information giver, not an information hoarder. I have done the combination of both because number one, I want to help great folks, great candidates pair with a good company, but I also know
Yeah.
it does the client a lot real well too because understanding more of what they want just better helps connect with a professional who can help them achieve success.
Right. So, I mean, it sounds like you're kind of using it on both sides. I mean, when job seekers, because I'm mostly in contact with job seekers, right? So when job
Yeah.
seekers, go out to wherever, Google Jobs, LinkedIn, and they look for a job description, like that is like kind of the truth in front of them. Like that is what they're basing their application on. And if that information isn't up to date, they're going to be missing the mark. And I think the company's going to be getting a lot of applications that are aligned to that. So that probably won't be so effective for the company. And also a huge waste of time for applicants. And I mean, that's like a really bad candidate experience. If people are finding out that what they asked for is actually not what they asked for on paper isn't what they're actually looking for. So I mean, taking that extra step is amazing and really important in the hiring process. And I would also like to dig a little bit deeper into how you use AI to match resumes to job descriptions because I think there's a lot of chat out there and articles on the internet about like how the AI is rejecting you and what is it really doing? Like is it ranking candidates? Is it auto rejecting them? What is going on there?
So I personally have not done it to where I'm like, I gotta auto reject this person.
Yeah.
This is full disclosure. I have had
Right.
resumes for a professional, and I'm using a job description in the resume, and it's coming back like a 70. I'm like, ain't no way, nah, man,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
this LinkedIn clicked on the profile, like, no, there's more to this story, and I,
Mhm.
and I look to be a realist in the fact that I know that resumes tell half the story. The rest
Yeah.
of it is going to come out from the person because
Mhm.
even perfect resumes get turned down. So
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a perfect resume. I'm just trying to see like, is it comparable? Is a lot of what this job is asking for, does this person possess? Do they have the probability for it? Then I initiate the phone call. And what I have found is that a sweet spot for it is really based on that person, whoever's reviewing it, because people are still looking at your resume. Now,
Right.
what I will tell you, if you do an easy apply on LinkedIn and there's 500 resumes in there, hey man, there's a process already in place because they're not going to look through all of them. They
Mm.
may keyword you out if it doesn't have a
Yeah.
certain amount of keywords that don't relate to the job description. That's why if you don't tailor your resume to the position, it's not even going to get that look. And then at that point, they're looking at the formality, like how easy is it to read because somebody's going to review it. Does it have all the necessary items that they desire? Is it only talking about your roles and responsibilities, or are you providing the solutions and the actions that you achieved in those positions? Somebody's combing through it because they
Right.
want to get down to at least a few people to call and
Yeah.
interview. But I do not use it in the notion to where I want to grade people out.
Yeah.
I'm still making phone calls to folks because when I was on the other side of the coin, I wanted the same type of chance. And
Right.
so, is it possible that organizations use it to grade you out because of keywords? Yes. They don't have time to
Yeah.
look at 500 resumes.
Right.
Depending upon the size of their department, that'll dictate how much time is dedicated towards that position.
Mhm.
After that, how much more are they utilizing AI to screen through your resume? I even sat on a panel where someone said, listen, I will take a resume and put it into an AI tool and
Mhm.
ask, did this person build this off of AI alone?
Okay.
Because it can recognize like how much is inside that resume.
Right.
And they use that to grade, okay, if this resume is like almost 80% built from AI, like how much is it true about this person? Yeah, no, I'm not going to call them. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I ain't never done
Yeah.
that. But I use AI to build stuff all the time. I mean, why not use it, right? So,
Right.
but I mean, but it was a great thing to learn because they were in a position right now where they were making the decisions to hire
Yeah.
folks. So I was like, okay, if you're doing that, then you shared in a room of about 50 people. Somebody's going to write that down and start doing it too. So a lot
Right.
of it is just some of the practices that are being passed from one person to the next, one organization to the next. But the blanket thing of like, is everybody keyword in your resume? And if
Yeah.
you don't have all the keywords, you're not going to get a phone call. Many, yes, not everybody though.
Yeah.
So there is truth to it, but it's not 100% true.
Right. It
And
sounds
then
like, everybody's kind of doing their own thing out there, right? I
yeah,
mean, we're all just figuring it out right now. There are tons of different tools. They do different things. It sounds like you're taking a very like humanistic approach where you see the words on the paper and then you really want to dig into it with the individual person and you're not letting the bots just send out blanket rejections to candidates.
now I will tell you this though. So if there's screening questions in there, and the
Mm-hmm.
screening questions are like, hey, this role is on site. Do you have an issue driving to the location?
Yeah.
And for example, let's say it's in Nashville, Tennessee,
Yeah.
but your resume and your profile on LinkedIn or whatever show that you live in Washington State. I'm not trying to take the time to call you because you live in Washington State. You didn't put it on your resume that you're willing to relocate or there's a plan in there. Like
Yeah. It's a red
that's
flag.
now,
It's confusing.
the other thing is like if it's not on there, my first inclination is like, did you even read all the details, or are you just submitting resumes just to submit? And I know there was a hot take you wanted later, and I'm going to hit into that, but that's one of those problems that people are pretty, you know, pissed about how much work it takes to get a job, but really
Yeah.
how effective and efficient are you with the way you do stuff? So,
Awesome. Pedro, love the transition because I know that we're going to have to jump in just a couple minutes here. So let's go to the hot take. Tell us, what is your hot take? Pedro Zambrano, give it to us.
so in that notion, right?
Yeah.
I don't negate the fact because I remember doing it myself. So I'm going to use
Mhm.
myself as an example.
Yeah.
Submitted a good amount of resumes. I used the job boards that were available. I went on Indeed, I went on LinkedIn, I went on, whatever platform that is out there right now. I remember flooding the gates with the resume.
Mm-hmm.
Lesson learned from it, I didn't really tailor my resume to those roles. So I got
Mm-hmm.
very few calls back on those positions. I
Yeah.
used the master resume. Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
was strike one. That was the wrong thing to do. So I had a
Yeah.
lot of effort with little results. And there's a lot
Mm.
of folks out there. You gotta have a coming, you gotta have a reality check with yourself. If you are not tailoring your resume to the role and you've been submitting it and using it and just saying somebody will figure it out and they'll see
Mm.
the potential, don't that's a lie. Ain't nobody trying to do
Mm.
the work that you should do for yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
if you had a ton of effort but it's ineffective and not efficient, don't get mad when you don't get a phone call. Now the second
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
if you have if you have a good amount of effort and you've got an efficient way of doing it, like you've got a schedule and a structure of how you submit resumes, and then you get
Mm-hmm.
a phone call or an email back and you can't remember which job it's from or what company it was because you applied and you've done so many, how efficient is your manner on how you're applying and trying to find a job, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if you run into those things and you're like, dude, I'm turning in resumes, I get calls, whatever. I hear a lot of times like the amount of effort and the efficiency people are doing with trying to get it done and it's
Yeah.
not working, you're still missing the boat because
Yeah.
that's still not effective. So in the job search, you have to have three elements that I believe, right? And I take this from my background when I was on recruiting duty. I would tell people
Mm-hmm.
effort, efficiency, and effectiveness. If you can have all those three items whenever you're doing something and you're attacking, trying to find a job, you're trying to get your name out there,
Yeah.
look at your process, look at the manner in which you're doing it, how much detail, how much attention are you giving to it. If you have effort, efficiency, and effectiveness, and you've built relationships, the job search, it can happen and you can be
Mm.
successful. But for those
Awesome.
folks who are missing one of those three and they're hitting their head against the wall and they haven't done a real reality check on their own, don't
Mm-hmm.
expect anybody else to be pissed about you not getting a job. You
Right.
should be more pissed at yourself because you haven't done it the right way.
Ugh. So true. So true. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. Real talk. I definitely appreciate it. That being said, do you have anything coming up? If there's anybody out there, if they want to get in contact with you, if they want to jump on your group, how can they do that?
So for the Veteran Coffee Connection, I host that twice a month on Saturdays,
Mhm.
9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I create posts onto LinkedIn. So number one, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Emily's got my LinkedIn profile. I'll drop it in. By
It
all
sure
means,
is.
right? Connect with me there. And
Awesome.
for the invitation for the call, I'll invite folks who said they want to attend, and then anybody who comments and says DM me the link, I'll DM it to you. But yeah, LinkedIn is the way to go. Connect with me on there, and anything else, just let me know how I can help.
Easy as that. Well, Pedro, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for being my first podcast guest. It really means the world to me. Thank you so much for sharing your background and the tips, and being open and a supporting partner for the people that you support. So that
Thank
being
you.
said, thanks guys also for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye, Pedro.